Okay, now we good. Finally. Oof. So we can hear here and then you respond here. So it's because I can't figure out what happened. It worked very well in the past. So we're gonna go live now. Finally. Wow. Almost 30 minutes.
Yes, computers.
Faça chuva, faça sol, não importa o tempo. Não vou deixar nosso amor morrer. Nem com raios e trovões encontrar tempo. Não vou deixar nosso amor morrer.
Hello everyone. I hope you can hear me. Please let me know if you cannot hear me so that you can help here in the process. First of all, I want to apologize for that delay. We had some technical issues, unfortunately. That was very difficult to address, but here we are, ready for you. Tony and Mix are already online, waiting for that. They were also helping to troubleshoot the situation. So you see, it's good to have technicians like online. So it's good to have like technicians guests. So they always help. so, so I'm gonna ask my guests to put their phone here in this one, in this call. You put in the mute. In the one, and then on your wherever you are using for the live, then you can leave it so that we can. Otherwise, we're gonna hear two voices. So and then now I'll invite my two beautiful guests, a handsome guests, very talented people that you have no idea. And then we have here with you Tony and Mix. And I'm gonna tell you a little bit about them, and then they're gonna finish it by selling their own fish. I think now you can see my two guests. First, we have Antonio. I already shared everything about him. Of course, it's nothing close to what he can do. So, because I know that Tony can do a lot of things. So, he studied in UCT before he started his first band. We'll be talking a little bit more about it when I ask him. And then anyway, then he joined the band Verismo. If I'm saying wrong, Tony, then you can correct me. So it's like from a friend from the college. A lot of people from the college. A lot of people start like that. Friends start together, and then they just open the door for other things. And then from there, the rudiment. You know what rudimentals are? A big band, like very big. So it's part of this band. You can imagine? Can you imagine? And then besides it, just like I think it was not enough for him. He's also a producer. He's also a lecturer. He's actually my teacher. I'm in Cape Audio College, and he's my teacher. Just for you to see, you are top electronic music and production. So let's see. There's a lot of talent here. There's a lot of knowledge that you're gonna from my guest, and they're gonna tell you more about him. But he's from South Africa. Oh, at least he lives in South Africa. And he also gonna tell you what are the styles that he produce and so on. And my other guest is Mix Mo. He's a South African electronic music production and a producer as well. He's also a top talent. I also have like two music from him that he produced that I was just in love. I talked to him before because I just wanted one song, but I end up with two, and I want more just for you to see the level of this guy. He's amazing. He's amazing. So, and he does a lot of instrumental music. He does a lot of. He doesn't just stay like the basic. He go and then try to find out more and more and more. So, and then he's gonna talk a little bit more about what he does, and then how he does. And I already shared a lot of information about him in there. But you're gonna if you watch his documentary that is out there, and a lot more about him with you, Tony. And oops, um, let me see. Can you see my guests or not? Let me see if you can see my guests. I hope you can see because I'm not ready for more issues. Uh, can you see my guests before I? Hmm? Please tell me if you can see my guests. Whoever is online, can you check if you can see my guests? Oh, looks like I lost my guest. No, not another problem. Not another. I'm not ready for more. My beautiful guests, can you please connect again because I think you disconnected. It's not from here. The link.
Which link?
The link that you have, not this. This link is just for me, for us to talk because of the issue that we were having. You left the live. You have to go back to where you were before. That one is just for you to hear. I'm so sorry. My guests I already talked about them, but because we were having some issues on communication, so we had now two places to talk, so they can hear me on my phone in here, and they can speak on that one. So they're gonna connect soon. They're gonna connect back, and we're gonna be today. We're gonna be talking about how can you create a music. What is the process of creating music? So some people think that just music is just like you just go and sing and that's all. No, there's a process to do it. And these two guests of mine will explain us how is this process done. Are you ready? Are you? I'm still. Antonio, I can see you. Tony, I can see you. I can see you. Now,
You can probably hear me now.
yeah, I can see you. Mix. Can you get already to the first link you had?
Yeah. Let me just go to
Let me
it.
just go to it.
I'm muting my cell phone just so
On the
that then
phone.
it
Yes.
so it
Yes,
doesn't.
I'm going to that first link on the phone, so you want me to click on it?
Yes, please.
Yes. Okay.
I understand it's so confusing. Two links.
Two links.
So one is just for you to hear, to help
For you
you
to
to
hear.
hear. Tony, we can see you now,
Tony, we can see you now. Okay.
and we can hear you as
And we can
well.
hear you as well.
That's
Okay, should I join on it as well?
please.
Please. Sunny, connect. Oh, sorry. To give me feedback. Okay.
Okay, can you hear? Okay, yeah, now you are here as well. I can see you, and you are on. Yes, that's my guess. Now we are ready. Now we are ready. So let's start by introducing yourselves and tell us a little bit more about you. I know I didn't sell your fish properly because I was busy with a lot of things here. Please tell us a little bit more about you.
Who do you want to go first?
You can go first,
Mix,
Antonio.
can you put in mute on here on the phone on this one here, not on that one.
On the WhatsApp.
Yes.
Okay. Let me sort it out.
So I've got to.
Tony, you can start probably.
Okay, so I'm just going to keep my WhatsApp on, but then I will mute myself on the screen when I stop talking, just so I can hear you on the
Exactly.
cell
Yeah.
phone. Cool. Okay, so
I've muted
I'll
it. Can
start.
you?
Yes, it's good.
Yeah, that's good. I can hear you nicely. Okay, so I'll start. Just to give a bit of background on myself, I'm a keyboard player, musician. That's where I started in bands. I play, as Irene said, with the Rudimentals. We're in Cape Town, which is a reggae band, reggae dancehall, electronic. We mash it up a bit. We've got people from all over the world. Chaos from Jamaica, Kingston. We've got Tibos and Labash from Zim, and Giovanni from Italy on drums, and myself in there as well on keys, and a lot of, and Doc Mike on the guitar. He's a doctor by day, which is really cool. And who else do we got? Oh, we got a whole lot. We've also got a brass section with Jody on trumpet and Simon saxophone on sax, and Matt and Ross on trombone. So yeah, we've got quite a big group. That's like my band. And then what happened was I started to produce them after when I was playing keys, and yeah, we were very lucky in that world. The tracks went quite good for us. Yeah, and then other than that, I've produced a lot of other groups, bands, and electronic music, and yeah, a bunch of different things. So from jazz to rock to reggae to electronic, a little bit of everything. And now I'm also teaching at Cape Audio College, where I really enjoy the use of the studios, the gear, the students. Of course, they're actually the funnest. And yeah, getting on with life and loving it, loving making music.
Nice, nice.
Nice, nice.
Thank you for
Great.
having me.
Oh no, it's I'm the one to be honored to have you here because it's a big, huge pleasure to have you here. It's an honor to have you here.
Thank you.
So
It's
your
a
time,
So,
Mix. We are waiting for you now.
we are waiting for you now.
Oh, sorry. There's a little
You're
bit
up.
of feedback. But yeah, anyway. Um, yeah, I'm Mishimo. I started making electronic music, I think, around 2010. That's when I started taking it seriously. I built my first computer, and never looked back. My process basically is just trial and error. I started before YouTube tutorials. So I used to rely mainly on magazines that they used to sell at NA called Computer Music. And every edition will have like a CD inside with 7 gigabytes of sounds and a tutorial from a guest producer every month. So that's how I got my foundation into electronic music because I'll buy this magazine for the samples, plus the monthly free VSTs, and as well as the educational material as well. And then I started understanding that there's communities behind this, you know. And my journey when it comes to music, I'm self-taught. I've I've never went to school to learn how to produce. It was just I learned from the magazine, and then when YouTube started becoming a thing and tutorials, I got into YouTube tutorials and advanced further from there. Um, I actually was more fascinated with genres that didn't really exist, or there wasn't really a scene here in South Africa, like hybrid trap, uh, mid-tempo, down-tempo, alternative rock, genres that you won't really hear on the radio. And I started leaning more towards those bands, experimental bands like your Low Dragon. I really resonated with the Low Dragon because of the use of live instrument and electronic instrument, and yeah, it just
Maybe
opened a new world for me.
maybe
I
you
guess
have
I've
maybe you
always
have to
wanted
tell us a little bit more about all these genres because there are a lot of different words that many of us don't know. So maybe later we can talk a little bit more about the genres that you're just talking about. But
the
yes, sorry for
oh
cutting you.
the
You can
oh
continue.
sorry.
Then later I'm gonna ask you about this.
Yeah. Okay. No, no, not a problem at all. But long story short, it hasn't been easy because I'm a visually impaired artist. So a lot of these softwares, plugins, and DAWs were not really made for people that were visually impaired. So I had to try a bunch of softwares in order for me to actually land up on Ableton Live. Um, what I liked about it was customer, like how you can customize it. There was a lot of themes that you can download online from communities. There were people just making themes for Ableton Live, like dark themes. So that just made Ableton easier to work on and explore, and then just fell into the rabbit hole. As to skill, like in terms of playing the keyboard, it's something I also picked up on YouTube as well. I learned a little bit of
Wow.
chords and how they interact with scales, and a little bit of improv, and like the popular chord progressions and so on. And also which each and every genre that I research on, I'll find out like what's the tempo, what's the chords that they usually use, this sound selection. So it's always like I'm always learning, because I never really went to school, so I gotta keep up. So which each and every genre that fascinates me, I do a little bit of research as to who are the people that are cutting edge in that genre, or the pioneers, and yeah, and just go online, look up a few interviews on them, see if I can find some behind the scenes, like if they break down a song, like, yeah, little gems. It's more than just listening and making music for me. I feel like it's this constant path of learning, experimenting. Can't really describe my process. I know it's a long answer, but I think it's the only way to understand.
That's nice. That's very, very interesting. Like, and very, actually, very encouraging to know.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear? Can you hear me?
Well,
Can you hear me?
yes, we
Yeah, I
can
can
hear you
hear
again.
you.
Yeah, it's very
Yeah.
Yes.
interesting and very encouraging to hear your story, because a lot of us, like a lot of people, like they find any excuse not to do what they have to do, and then you, regardless of your condition, you still pursue it, and not only pursue it, and you master it, because I can tell you are super. I'm not just saying for saying. I'm saying because I heard your work, and I know how good you are. So that's amazing. That's very amazing. So
Thank,
congrats to you,
thank you.
and congrats to Tony too, because Tony also has some kind of like on hearing side, but it's still that's beautiful work that you
Still
cannot even
beautiful
imagine.
work that you cannot even imagine.
It's it's actually it's very interesting to meet a producer that's visually impaired because it must be very tough to work. I mean, I know I've got I was born deaf in my left ear, still am, so I hear
Mm.
mono. But I mean, I've never heard any difference. So for me, it's just I actually found that learning music production, I can relate because also on YouTube, I went to study piano and whatever, but when it came to production, it was video after video after video getting hooked, and just like, oh, okay, how do I? In my case, I wanted to make uh, glitch hop and neuro bass because I love glitch hop and that kind of stuff. So for me, it was just an addiction to want to know how to make that sort of style of music. And
Mm.
I think we relate very strongly on this. And I mean, yeah, just went from video to video trying to, oh, is that how you make a wobble on the bass? Or that's how use the filter or automate this and that. And, it was quite, it was addictive. And just that's how I think you learn, but you've got to just be dedicated. um,
Yes.
and yeah, as far as the hearing goes, that as I said earlier, that's just how I was born, and I will always hear in mono. And for me, using visual aids actually worked so much. Like I had to always look at all the frequencies, and I still do. I look at the stereo field on an analyzer, a spectrum analyzer, and a stereo imager, and I think that's actually a healthy way, even if you've got good ears, to work.
Mm.
So I can see what's going on, and also then when it comes to the stereo field and imagining a three-dimensional box, imagination goes a very long way. So for me, the left side, which I can't hear, is a bit of an imagination. Obviously, I do hear it coming from somewhere over there, but I can't place sound that easily. I just got to use my imagination and trust the software
Wow.
of where those things are placed, and just hope for the best and check with friends. You know.
Wow. Amazing. So for me, I think my
Yeah.
main issue is to now I'm better. I'm way better. But in the past, I had a lot of issues to be on time, on tempo. For some reason, I was always out because I don't know if because since I was younger, I just speak so fast, and I think everything was so fast in my life that even in the music, I was just doing everything so fast. So yeah, so that's amazing. Can I ask you now questions? Music. You already say a little bit about why you do music and what you do, and I see that you do a lot. Now, like for example, what is music, and then what is the process of making it? So it's just simple thing, or there is a process? What is it behind this music thing? Who wants to be the first one?
Okay, I can go. For me, it's a discipline. Because sometimes, you can have a plan and say, I'm gonna make this kind of music, but if you're not gonna be disciplined about it, then you might find that midway through the process, you'll zone out or you start doubting yourself or you start looking at your phone. So first and foremost, we need to understand that the process of making music, well, at least for me, it is a discipline. you know you have to be present, because the minute you're present, sometimes the ideas just start flowing. You open a certain folder and then everything works. So first and foremost, I think that it is a discipline, and also it is a healing mechanism. There's certain songs that really bring healing to one. So for me, it's a discipline. It is a healing mechanism, and it is our background to life as well. Life would be boring without music.
That's true. Music
You
is
understand?
life.
Yeah, that's how I view music, like from the creative component to the healing component to what it also does for us as people, as humanity. The reason why we have so many different genres is because it was meant for us to have something to express and leave behind long after we are gone. you know so it's just a way of life. It's a part of us. It's like oxygen for me. That's
Yeah.
what music is.
Wow. Amazing. Tony, I see you doing it many times, so looks like you agree.
I fully I agree. I mean, what I try and say to Irene, you might know this, but I try with my students, and this is my most important thing, is to try and inspire them. Like I do a lot of teaching now, and I think with that, I found a different part of music that I didn't realize I had, or I didn't realize I could try and do. And that was to try and inspire,
Mm,
young people, old people, all sorts of people to make music.
mm,
And it's infectious. So I can
mm,
start and try and get, if people are interested a little bit, try and build that interest. And I really liked that you said discipline, because the thing is, I can inspire, and I think that will speed up the learning, because that means the students will try and learn more on their own because they want to know, which is that
mm,
inspiration. But at some point, that inspiration then needs to turn to discipline, where you become disciplined about it. And it doesn't matter whether you're feeling inspired or not, it's a discipline
mm,
and it's a practice that you can continuously go to. And Mo, I fully feel the healing part of it. It's like therapy, I mean, it really is what we
yes.
need. If I get cranky if I can't sit down on my computer and just make music for a bit. If I don't do that in a week, I get grumpy. I'm not a nice person.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I definitely understand
So that's
that.
amazing. So now,
So
how do you make
now,
music?
how do you make music?
How is it? Like, for example, let's see, like, if you explain to someone that doesn't know nothing about music, how will you explain how do you
Explain
make music?
how you make music.
Okay, well, I'll
Okay.
start. I mean, there's so many ways to make music. That's a very loaded question. I mean, you can make music around a campfire. That's acoustic,
Yeah.
playing your guitars, playing your drums, playing whatever. That's making music. I think maybe what you're referring to, maybe more in the digital world. I mean, using all sorts of well, I suppose source sounds, whatever that may be, whether it's a sample that you resonate with, whether it's a I don't know, maybe a synthesizer or a plugin or like a operator in Ableton that you're fiddling around with, and it just starts
Mm.
to become something cool, and it triggers that. Um, so I mean, it could be anything that triggers that first thing. You might even have just an idea in your head. Once you get better, I feel once you get better at production, especially computer music, you have an idea in your head, and then you can try to execute it. Now that
Mm.
process takes quite a long time to get to that point where you can kind of get something where you go, well, that was close to what I had in my head, close to the emotion, close to the feeling. um,
Mm.
but yeah, you can start it anyway. I mean,
Yeah, but
I'm not
where?
quite
Like,
sure.
okay, like let's see, let's list them. So how, like new experience, like how do you, what are the possible ways of starting the process of creating music? So like for example, I want to make a music now. So like like for someone that doesn't know nothing. So like
Okay.
let's suppose you are a child to
Okay.
know how the music is
I,
made since the conception, like how
okay.
the first idea is made, and then
Okay.
how, so if you have the melody, and then you, if you have the melody first and then you have the lyric after, or if you have the
Okay.
instrumental already ready and then you make the and then you make the lyrics. We hearing some interference. Yeah, and what you come first, the lyric or the instrumental that is already done, or the melody, guitar you just play something on piano. What comes first and then what comes second and so? How is it?
Um, I think for me, how I would approach it is what type of music you want to make. The reason I ask that because some genres will be based around the drums, the rhythm itself, what holds the groove of the song. And then some genres will be more melodic and atmospheric, will rely mainly on synths like your dark wave and your synth pop. So I think clarity in terms of what genre we're making. For example, if they said they wanted to learn amapiano, my first main focus would be to teach them of the main or popular chord progressions that are used in the genre, and also which that's the first element, chord progressions, and then teach them the tempo, and then also the groove, which is the percussions, the drum elements, and then lastly will be the arrangement, because it's arranged in a way that it allows for people to have a part of the song where they can sing along and dance to it. And there's also a section where you can't really dance but show the boogie, and you can just listen to the lyrics. Those parts where it's more lyrically based, usually there's not a lot happening in the groove. It's usually sparse so that it allows for that for the message to translate. But when it hits the drops, like the high, like all of the energetic parts or elements of the song come together there. So for me, it would be to understand the genre and just break it into 4 or 5 elements or components.
So you said one of the component is chord progression. Can you say like in a few
Yes.
words what chord progression is, so that maybe someone doesn't understand?
Basically, a chord progression, it's a series of chords played in a certain sequence. Antonio can correct me. So it's, for example, triads, which are 3 notes chords. If you were to play a 2-5-1, it just means that you're playing the second degree of that scale, and then the fifth degree, and then the root chord, which is the one or the
Okay.
first degree.
Okay. So you
So
said chord progression. You say the groove. You said
then the rhythm, yes. So it'll be the chord progression. Everything else, like the counter melody and the melody, will all follow the chord progression
Yes.
in a way, including the bass line, the log drum. Everything will sit there. And then there'll be your drums, your percussions, your shakers, the main kick drum.
Okay.
And then the arrangement, how it's going to be arranged. Is it a song to make people really dance, or is it a song to drive to? Because the arrangement will play a huge role in translating that mood. So arrangements in certain styles play sort of is more like a creative element as well. Like for example, with EDM, how you arrange a song in EDM is very critical.
Okay.
You understand? So there's certain genres where arrangement is not really, you can really experiment with arrangement in certain genres, but certain genres they are tied to a specific arrangement because it works. Like pop music, like the pop structure, it works. If I were to make a pop song or teach someone how to make a pop song, I'll definitely have to use the pop structure so that when they're listening to 5FM or whichever radio station they like and listening to those pop songs, they can find similarities. So I found that arrangement for me played a huge, huge role. And there's a lot of songs I really messed up because I really didn't understand the arrangement.
Okay, maybe we're gonna talk about a little bit more about arrangements later on. Tony, can you tell us your procedure? What's your method to like what you? How would you teach someone like me or anyone, or anyone that doesn't know how the sound is made?
Yeah. Look, I think it depends. How to start is to find that piece of inspiration. I think that's the main thing. And yes, you have to like educate yourself on what chords are you going to be using, what chord progressions, and because I mean, if you take, let's say, some dancehall, right? Um, there's only a handful of chord progressions that are used that are circled. They go around and people jump on the same beat even. But in doing that, those chords are expected. And then from there, obviously arrangement and all that, but you've got to get the those chords correct first. And then from that, you get your bass lines, drums, rhythm. I mean, I like to start, I'll either start with, there's a few ways to start a piece. Let's just talk about a piece of music. You could get a reference, as in go, well, I'm going to write a hip hop today, and this sort of hip hop, and choose one or two or three pieces and put them into your door, and go, okay, well, I'm going to, use these as my markers, and even copy the arrangement a bit, because it works. Go, okay, cool. Here's a drop point. Here's a build up point. You can start to really see where the roadmap is of that almost culture. I mean, if you you don't want to mess that up because people will be a little bit angry at you. So I will either start with a chord progression on the piano, like keyboard, and just play around a bit. And then I'll quickly get drums in. I'll like quickly get some kind of rhythm because I just need some, because I feel a large part of the feel is the rhythm. It's what holding it all together. So I'll try and get that in. And then with the rhythm comes bass. So then you start to fill it up. If you're working with vocals, or if you think there's going to be space with vocals, you've got to start thinking about that. Is it going to be a vocal track or not? So that will influence where you're going to be going with the writing. You need to make space for that. You don't want to overcrowd. So you don't want to overwrite that area, like in the vocal range, let's say between 1K and 5K there in the frequency range. You don't want to add too much there because it's going to fight with the vocal. So you've got to be aware of those sorts of choices that you make as a producer. So yeah, just adding instruments slowly, and a lot of the time I'll work in a smaller loop and then start expanding it out, and then getting that reference for a structure. Or if it's a genre that you can't really mess too much with structure, then like EDM, if you're going to do a build up, it's going to be a drop. It's going to eventually have another build up to the final drop, and it will go out. It's got certain structures that you need to kind of follow.
Yeah.
That's very interesting that you said that you actually pay
You
attention to the
pay attention
frequencies
to the
of the instrument so that
of
they
the
don't
instrument
fight
so
with
that
the
they don't
vocals.
Oh, yeah.
fight.
So, but then,
Oh, definitely.
yeah, that's totally interesting. So, but then, like, can you just say maybe like in a few words, how do you do it? How can I pay attention to the instrument versus the instrument frequency versus the voice, the vocal frequency? How is it? Like, can you
How is
explain
it?
us
Like,
Um,
a bit more?
well,
How do you do it?
there, there, there's a certain area where vocals naturally sit in a recording, which just are roughly between 1K and 5K. It's where our hearing is really good, and the vocal is quite strong in that area. I mean, obviously, it goes a little bit below that and quite a bit below and above, but that's like a very strong area where the vocal sits. Now, if I was to put, let's say, a lead guitar or a lead synthesizer line in that area that's taking my ear there, if you're going to put a vocal on top of that, they're going to start fighting for attention, you know. So you need to
Yes.
give one thing that full spotlight, and you don't want to be putting like a melody line, boom, on your verse. That's not going to work with the vocal, at least. So that's. I hope that
Okay,
that
yeah,
cleared
no,
that up.
yeah, that was, yeah. Oh, nice. That's very, we learn every day. So you see, nice. Okay, so we are gonna talk a little bit more about the song itself, the chord progressions, and like how to do your magic, because we didn't talk about it yet. We just talking in general. We didn't say specifically how do you do it. But before we go to that,
before we
we
go
just
to
want to know um, what
what are
the
the
softwares that I
words?
used to make music.
I use Ableton Live. Yeah, I'm on version 12. I was using Ableton Live 11 for a while, and around February, I met Christian Schwanz, head of marketing at Ableton. I met him through Kilele Festival, which was held in Kenya this year. So we started speaking, and he upgraded me to 12. So I've been using 12 for now, and yeah, it's quite good.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
Tony, it looks like you as a group of
Sorry,
Abletons.
I was going to say yes. I'm joining the Ableton Club here.
Because
Yeah.
we
Look.
all use Ableton. Me too. And it's
Yeah.
like Ableton is Tony's baby, and then Ableton was one of my teachers that taught me how to use Ableton. So
Yes.
that was not
Ableton free.
Look there.
disclaimer. That was not done on purpose.
Yeah. I'd say it saved me. Ableton really saved me. I really found me. I found my sound, you know. Once I started using Ableton, I think I stopped trying to become something or someone and just became me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
So
deep.
Deep.
Nicely said.
So, Antonio, why do you choose this DAO? What's the reason, Tony?
Well, look, we were chatting earlier, and I was saying I actually started with Reason. That was my first door. Reason was great, but it was very, it's old school but new school, where you had to patch all the little units in and like Maelstrom synthesizer and whatever,
mm,
and it was great. And then I actually moved on to Cubase. Cubase that's a special program that I really enjoyed Cubase for many years, but somehow Ableton came into my life, and then it I
Took
used to
your
use both
heart.
of
Yeah.
them. It really took me away, and
yeah.
I remember making that jump. In fact, I was also sitting on the fence once with Ableton on one foot, and the other foot was on Cubase, and eventually just jumped to Ableton because Ableton's just
Yeah.
so creative. It's got an easy workflow. It's just
Mm,
fun to use, and
mm.
everybody uses it different.
That's
I
true.
bet you all three
That's
of us
true.
probably
Yes.
use it differently.
Yes. There's so many ways to use it.
So, like, if
Yeah.
someone listen to us, we're gonna think that we are promoting Ableton.
Yes, we are.
But that's like, okay, for people that, yeah, like for people that don't understand, but so like DAOs is like almost like soccer teams. When you are in one team, you don't want to lose it, and then you fight for that team. So it's almost like that. So what are the, like in general, what are the softwares that exist that people can use besides Ableton?
There's a lot.
So some of them,
So
and
There's
then
FL
why?
Studio.
What do you guys know about
Yeah,
some of
he
the
felt
different?
great.
Well, I do know some of the differences because I've used some of the doors. Like Antonio, I've also used Cubase. It came with my audio interface. It was Cubase 5LE. Yeah, so it had some limitations. I think I couldn't record more than 8 audio tracks and not more
Okay.
than 8 MIDI tracks. So in total, I had 16 tracks. So there's some limitations to it. So
Yeah.
I've tried I've tried FL Studio, I've tried Reason, I've tried Cubase. I think I've tried a little bit of GarageBand and Logic. And yeah, I was just like Ableton is just the one.
Long list.
So, but I would say you can start with Ableton, the intro version, you know. The reason why I would start with the intro version is that there's still a lot of things that you can do, like audio manipulation on the intro level, even though you're limited on the tracks itself. Or try FL Studio Fruity Edition, which is also like the intro edition for it. BandLab is free, but you're tethered to the internet. That's the problem with BandLab. You're always going to be tethered to the internet because it works on a web browser. And then there's another free one called Luno. No, not Luno, Luna from Universal Audio. It's a free one. It kind of looks like a little bit like Cubase and a little bit like Reason in the old days, like Reason 4. And then there's, BandLab recently acquired Cakewalk. You remember Cakewalk, Antonio? You should
I
remember
do remember
Cakewalk. Sona.
Cakewalk actually.
Yeah, they're trying to bring
Oh,
it back. It's only on
wow.
PC. It's free. I'm not sure until when. It's
Okay.
free. So
Sure.
there's free doors. I'd say Luna, BandLab, Cakewalk. Those are the free ones. So there's also free options. You know, there's
Okay.
other ones that I don't know, but there's free options, there's cheaper options, but it's not really about the software. I think it's mainly about the kind of musician you want to be, because if you record audio a lot, then I wouldn't suggest anything like FL
You can go in
Studio.
GarageBand.
Yeah, you can do it on GarageBand, you can do it on
Mhm.
Studio One, you can do it on Cubase. I'm sure if you buy an audio interface, that audio interface is going to come with that software. Usually, Studio One comes with a lot of audio interfaces. You
Or
buy a
even
scan.
any free version as well.
Yeah. So
Mm.
when
Mm.
recording instrument, I think it's going to be easier. But if you're going to be making like 100% electronic music, then you might want to try something like Ableton or FL Studio.
Or Pro
I don't see
Tools as
why.
well, right?
No, when you're working with audio and recording in Pro Tools, it
Pro
doesn't really
Tools, yeah.
have a good workaround when it comes to electronic music production. You
Unless
know,
you unless you already master on that, because I think Pro Tools is just, I don't know, it's a great tool, but it requires a lot of learning process. The learning curve is high. So until you
Yeah.
get to that level, so you just suffer a lot. But then once you are there, once you get all the knowledge, then you start to like maybe enjoy it more because they have a lot of tools in there as well. But Tony, what are the other those that we didn't talk about that you also want to bring
Oh,
again?
we've mentioned quite a few there.
Okay.
But I was gonna
So
bring up
then for me, for
Pro
example,
Tools.
if I want to make music and I didn't start, so you advise me to start with Ableton, is that what you said? You
I,
said like
I,
three. You
I
say
would,
Ableton, if you're
yeah,
playing an
able to the
instrument,
free,
give me three. Give me
yeah.
three. If I want starting now and I want list my first one, which one I start?
I would say Ableton. It's a great learning tool. It's a great one. But look, it is a cost. So or FL, I would also start on. I'd actually start on FL. I think FL is great to start. Or
mm,
I mean, probably one of the free ones. Like before you go out and spend any money, try the free ones. I mean,
yeah.
do that first and see if it bites, and then when you need a little bit more, you can move on.
Oh, um, just one sec. I lost my Tony, and then yeah, I think it's here. Yeah,
Yeah, I can
Tony,
see
yeah,
you.
you are here. I don't know what happened. Your virtual camera just came out of nothing. Okay, Tony, you can continue. We're back.
What was I saying? I was saying, yeah, you could start on any of the free ones. Once you outgrow them, you can move on to maybe FL or Ableton.
Mm,
I would get onto Ableton as soon as you can. I feel the
mm,
tools in there teach you so much, and it really is also quite educational. Like, look, I'm very biased, I know,
I know
but
you are.
also, but
I don't blame
but
you.
they But Ableton's got a lovely website that if you go under the education part and you can really, there's so many videos of how to do it from their site and it's very well laid out. There's even
mm.
a nice education part where you can learn synthesis or beat making online, which is quite nice.
I know, yeah.
It really, so yeah, I would start free and then move on to the paid ones, the paid apps.
Okay,
And
so
also depends
Yeah.
on, look, if you're, sorry, just to finish that, if you're going to record bands, I mean, and work in maybe bigger studios, then Pro Tools would be something that you would go into, I mean, that's
Mm,
very good for connecting big studios and that room and that room and this one and that one. And that's how it runs.
mm.
Whereas, Ableton's, it can do some of that stuff, but it's not really made for that. It's made more
Yes.
for production.
Yes.
yeah,
Whereas Pro Tools, you don't really create and you record, if that makes sense.
Mm. Yes, it does.
yeah. Okay, so now can we go back now to the so we talk about the software that we can use. Can we go back now about the song itself? Like we now we're gonna talk a little bit more about this chord progression thing and so on. So let's suppose I want to create a music and I'm sitting down and I want to create it. So if I want to write it down, so because some people write it down, some people go by the melody in their head. Some people just have like imagine something in their head and they just go and do it. So let's
Mm-hmm.
suppose we are creating. You want to create a song. So I ask you like, Tony, mix. I want a song like what we say R&B. Although it makes you do a lot of amapiano and Afro music, but let me challenge you. So I want an R&B song, and I want the song to be talk about love, for example. How would your mind process? How would you do it? How would you implement this song that I'm asking you to do?
Okay. What I would do, let's say we collaborate. I'm just going to make a scenario with the three of us. How I would approach it is that I would first have to find out if you do have like some sort of like a top line, even if it's not words, like is there melody in your head that keeps ringing? Or if you don't, then what are you feeling? Are you in a space where you sad, you want to express that sadness, or you want to use some of that pain and heal other people that are feeling like you, so that we can kind of find a chord progression that works around that mood. Because you can't be singing happy and then the chord progression is very dark. Like for me, like I don't think it's gonna work like that. So I think we'll first have to find that concept, and then with regards to that chord progression, that's going to have those Afro elements, because if you want to still maintain those Afro elements, then I'll take it over to Antonio so that we can just work around the chord progression that perhaps, in between the chord progression, there's a little bit of reggae, staccato, that skank, in
Yeah,
between.
yeah.
And then when I build my drums, then I'll have to build my drums around that bounce. That's how I would approach it. Like I have to first see it like that in my head. And yeah. I know it's a bit of a map and a plan, but that's how I would approach it.
Nice, yeah. And Tony, and how would you
I
approach it?
feel no, I feel the same way actually, and I suppose we're talking about pre-production here, like
Yeah.
you know what I mean. If we put a label on it, we it would be something to do in the pre-production realm where yes, you got to feel what are you feeling? What do you want this thing to feel like? What do you want it to? Are you expressing happiness or sadness or excitement? Even though
Mm,
it's an R&B track, but it could be an exciting love song. You've met this man or
mm,
woman that uh, you're in love with or whatever. It's exciting feeling. So
mm,
that feeling would now be what you as a producer need to try and portray. and put forward
Yes.
in some way or another.
Mm.
You brought
Yes.
something good. Like I want to do like the roles in the to make music. But before we do it, we have a question here. She self cares. Hi, how are you, my dear? So the question is: do you think music is a God
Music
given
is
talent
given
or something that you can
or
develop?
something that you can develop.
I'll start both. I say both because I think I'm a slow learner. I think that's why I'm saying both. Because for me, I had to learn. I didn't just sit in front of the piano and started playing. There was a lot of trial and error, not knowing what I'm doing. Not knowing what scales are. So some people, I feel like they grasp it very early. That's why I say yes, it's God given, because there's some people who they grasp it very early and it looks like magic. And then there's some people that are just dedicated and then work on it until they actually get to that level where they're actually very good. It's sort of like second nature. So I feel like it's both.
What about
I
you, Tony?
agree. I agree. I also think it's both. I mean, you know, I work with so many different, I don't know how to say this, but level of musicians from, from people who don't play music instruments to people who are crazy, like even in my band, the Rudimentals, we've got the sax, the brass section. They've all got B muzzers. They're great musicians. They've practiced. They've studied their art to the top degree. They've practiced their scales, and that's really hard work and a bit of feel and talent.
Mm,
So those three gents have really put hours into practice and perfecting their instrument. But then,
mm,
and I mean, I'm not even talking about feel yet. That's a separate thing, I would say. If we look at
mm,
my lead singer there, T-Boss, he doesn't play. I mean, he plays bass a bit, but rudimentary stuff. But he's taught me more about music than most people. It's just the way he feels the music and the way he directs the music, as in he will try to tell me
mm,
something. Okay, his music technology and whatever he wants to call stuff isn't normal, but eventually we get to the answer, and that's a different type of musicianship that I look
mm,
up to so much, because that's what inspires me. I go like, oh, give me some of that, please, just give it to me. and hopefully I can
mm.
give it back, give you something back. So yes, both. I mean, yeah, but it's all going to take practice at the end of the day, whether you're talented or
Yeah,
not.
you
You have
still have to
to.
practice.
Okay,
I agree.
great, great. So now let's go back to the roles. Uh, we already talked about the process. We know now that everyone has like their own process, and then we can make it in different ways. Blah, blah, blah. So, but what are the roles on making music? Who does what? Because as far as I know, it's not only one person most of the time. So sometimes, but not all the time.
Sometimes,
So
but
you have the
not all the
singer,
time. So you have the singer,
you have the producer, you
you have the
have the
producer,
whatever,
you
you
have
have
the
that guy, you
whatever,
have
you
the
have
someone
that,
that does the
you have the
mixing. Like, what are the roles to make a song or a music? Who are involved,
who are involved.
or can be involved?
It's different from my realm because I had to wear a lot of hats. Usually there'll be a producer, you know, um, person who actually creates the instrument or finds people, to collaborate with and actually create the instrumental idea, get a vocalist to sing, and then after that, get a mixing and mastering engineer to mix it and master it. It's usually a process. I know I'm skipping a few hats, because now there's a beat maker, and then from the beat maker, the song goes to the producer. And then the producer will get a session singer, they'll do a top line. And then it gets to the main singer, like for example, Beyonce, and then Beyonce sings on it together. There'll be a tracking engineer, which essentially is a mixing engineer, someone that records Beyonce. There'll be that guy, and then from that guy, there'll be another guy called the mastering engineer to master and polish the overall song. But if you're doing it yourself, like for example in the electronic scene, what I specialize in, electronic music. You have to wear all of those hats. But with me, because I usually work with artists remotely, for example, I'll have to make the whole beat, get it to a point where it's not overwhelming for you, Irene, to sing on it. You on your side in Cape Town, you book a studio, record on the song, send it back, and then once it's done, I need to add more, melodic instruments on top of it, like post production, and then send it to Antonio. Antonio will just, remove my chord progression, add a much more musical, making sense type of chord progression, and then we'll chat back and forth until we get the final idea, like the version that we're happy about, then send it off to another guy, which is going to mix it and master it. So there's a lot of hats, and sometimes you gotta learn a little bit of all those steps so that you know when someone is bullshitting you.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing sound engineering. So now I'm gonna know for sure.
Yeah, so I think you have to, because some people will lie and say, well, mastering, will take a whole month. You gotta wait there for a whole month for one song. I've been in that situation where by the time I got the song, I wasn't even excited about it. Yeah, I felt like a fool telling people that, yo, it's coming out, coming out, coming out, you know. But now I know how to do a little bit of mastering, to a point where you can play on radio and, I'm not going to get yelled at for.
Oh, nice.
Oh, nice.
Tony, is other role
Yeah.
mentioned here?
No, I mean we've covered it, but I'll just go over it. I mean, yeah, you generally it also again depends on the different types of production, but yes, you'll have a producer. Like I'll talk from how I've run it. With Rudimentals in the beginning, it was more okay, I've got a beat, I've got a bass line, I've got a very skeleton styled song with not much working. And then I'd get King Labash. He would come around to my place, really just in my flat, and we would work on the track and get.
Oh, you guys, you left again for some reason. I don't know why the Steam Lab. Can you guys get in again? Yeah. So, Mix, you are fast. For some reason, this. Yeah, you're back. You're
Yeah,
back.
well, I never left.
You never left. Yeah, but
Yeah,
for some reason
because
it came out. Tony, we are waiting for you, and you are the one talking.
sorry, I had a call. Let me just put my phone on silent. It's my sister.
We are almost done. Just tell sister that we are almost done. We are almost done. We are almost closing. We're just
I'll
waiting
call up.
for you, Tony.
I'll call up.
Tony, are you talking? Are you talking by yourself? No one can hear you. Okay, now Tony is here. Tony,
Can
when
you
you
hear?
talk, yes, we
Yes.
can hear you. I think it's just Streamlab taking the cams out and for some
Okay,
reason.
let me just.
Yes, you were talking about the rentals.
Yes. What were we talking about? Oh, yes, the different. So, I mean, he would come and do a line, and the process then would be going
Sorry about that.
to the guys and setting up, booking with an engineer to record because we needed to do vocals better than my flat. Because hey, listen, we did everything in that little flat of mine. I mean, imagine we were above a pub and where I used to live, and the guys would come around and would just make my poor neighbors, but they loved it. So I said, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, and they were just like, nah, carry on, carry on, carry on. So we carried on, and I mean, if I think about it, we then booked the studio, and then we recorded the vocals. I did a bit of a mix, sent it off to another a mix engineer. He mixed the vocals to the track, and then we sent it to another mastering engineer to master. And then eventually that song, the one song or however many like that would come out. So it was a lot of in-house work, wearing the different hats, doing all sorts of little jobs, and then down to phoning radio stations to play the music and to getting. I mean, that's not the whole conversation of what happens once it's done. But we even did that carried on, and yeah, lots of hats there.
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
see that lately people have the tendency to have like to do like to wear a lot of hats, like in the music industry for some reason. Even the singers before they were just singers, they were just singing, but now some of them are also becoming producers, and some producers that were just producers now they're also becoming singers.
Yeah.
So and then even in the marketing part of it, so in the past we would have like the singer or even the producer and so on, and then they have someone that market their work. But now the artist is doing everything. Is the producer, is the artist, is the market
Mm.
person, is everything. So I don't know where we are
So
going
I
with
don't know
it.
where we are going with it.
Yeah.
I think the landscape has shifted, a lot. I think the old system doesn't really work, especially for new artists. It only works for a few. If you Taylor Swift, Beyonce, yeah, it will work. But for us, it doesn't really work because of social media. So that we find that artists have a lot of following. So in order for them to market that there's a single coming out, all they have to do is just post. Before it would be like a huge marketing campaign, a huge rollout for months. It'll be for months they'll market one single. But now an artist can just post because of social media, because of the following they have. So the landscape has definitely shifted, and it's gonna continue to change a lot. I think, because I feel like this whole streaming thing is not working, and it's time for a new system as well. Because
Well,
the whole system of streaming was introduced to combat piracy. But when you look at it, it didn't really solve the issue.
Like
You know.
yeah, they didn't
Yeah,
solve the issue, and
of
then
the
like
issue, and then
in order for you to earn
in
like
order for
about
you to
2,000, 3,000, you have to have 1 million views. Oh,
Yes.
it's like
yeah,
it's crazy just for one
Yeah.
thousand or 2,000
it's
dollars.
Yes.
I've been thinking about this lately, and I feel if you take Spotify and Apple Music and all these things, they streaming and they're paying artists less. At least when you had a CD to sell, I remember selling CDs,
Mm.
and you would get your 120 rand for your CD,
That's
but that was
really
a
Yeah.
hard, you would get
give
that
and
money at
take.
least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a
Nowadays it's not.
product.
You know what?
Yes,
Because
there was a product.
the time is done already. So, and I have one question here that I'm gonna want to make you. Why don't we? I want to invite you in public. So if you say yes, you cannot escape. For us to have another session sometimes, and then we're gonna talk about what comes next. Like after the song is produced, is done. What comes next? So and we're gonna talk about this. We're gonna talk about the distribution. We're gonna talk about how much is the you earn for when you stream, and then how was it before and how is it now. So we're gonna talk about all these aspects. Do you accept it? You have to say yes, and if you say yes, you
Yeah.
can't escape.
Yeah.
Good. We're gonna agree on the on off in off when we are gonna do it, but we need to talk a lot about it because of course we didn't have enough time today as well. One question here is
Okay.
like, imagine you are traveling, like one of our guests is like, imagine, listen, not guess. Imagine if you are
imagine
traveling
if
and
you are
wandering
traveling,
around in public. An idea pops out in
an
your
idea
head,
pops
and
up.
obviously you are away from your studio. What do you
Yeah.
do to avoid
You do to
losing
avoid
that tune?
losing that view.
Voice note. I record a voice note. There's
Agreed.
nothing as effective as a voice note. Voice.
what if you
It,
are in the plane
what if you're in the plane?
and everyone was
And then
there
I'll ask
looking
to
to
go
you?
to the loo. I'll ask to go to the loo. I'm just gonna ask to go to the loo.
What about you, Tony? What is your
You, Tony,
strategy?
what is your strategy?
Same. I will either voice note it, or in that case, go to the loo, or record it. You've even got like a recording. Every cell phone has got a recording app now. So you just push
Mm.
that little red button and record the little idea, and then play it back.
Yeah.
Oh, that was the brass line I had. And I
Makes
really
sense.
thought it was a cool. Generally,
Mm.
though, I record a full idea in my head. So I'll be like, boom, chaka, boom, boom. And then I'll be like, sing the other lines. And I just try and get as much out of myself into the
Nice. You
recording as
even put
possible.
the instrumentation in there as well. Not only the.
Yes.
Wow, that's
As much as
nice.
Yeah.
possible. Get the
I'm
feel.
running out of
And the
space as we speak because of voice notes.
Okay, so I see. We still have a lot to talk. So, but 1 hour has passed already. So I told you before the time passed so quickly, and now we have to go. I have to go to another live, which is in Portuguese version.
All right.
So
Okay.
first I want just to thank you for to accept this challenge. Sorry for the initial issues that we had. But I also thank you for being persistent and fight and trying to solve the problem together. That was so beautiful. And as well, we're gonna have another live stream. So we're gonna talk about what comes after the song, like after you produce it, what you do next. So which is I think is a
Yeah.
beautiful thing for us to talk.
Mm.
Something at the end. So what are some tips that you give to the audience about like making a song or creating a song? Few tips just quickly, and then we can
Okay,
start.
I'll go very quickly. Stay educated, don't stop learning, and don't think you're better than everyone, and just stay focused, learn as much as you can, and also practice. Please practice what you learn.
Okay.
I'm going to agree with that. Practice, practice, practice. Keep that inspiration and turn it to motivation and turn that into discipline. Because I think, if you can keep doing it, you won't have as much writer's block because you'll always be writing. And you need
Yeah.
to have the bad and the good. So keep writing.
Yeah.
Perfect. Perfect. So okay, thank you so much. You want to leave
Thank
your
you.
contact, like your social pages, so that people can. Of course, I already shared it, so you can always look for my page. You're gonna find, but maybe you can say with your own words.
Antonio, you can go first.
I don't have too many socials, but I'm VLab Production on Instagram or Antonio. And that's pretty much where I update my studio work or whatever I do, that sort of stuff. And then the bands you can probably find through that, and the music yeah.
Well, for me, it's on it's Mishimo, Instagram and X, and as well as Spotify. Yeah, and all the DSPs, just Mishimo.
Okay.
I'm not on Facebook. Yeah.
Yeah, you
So
you
yeah,
you, you are
I'm
like
not
the
on Facebook. I'm
youngest,
only on
right?
Instagram,
You
Twitter.
behave like the
You
youngest
behave
because
like the youngest
everyone,
because
every
everyone,
older people
older
Facebook
people,
like us. You are not representing us. Facebook.
Yeah. I don't like Facebook. I never did.
You have the
I don't know
youngest,
why. I just
the
never
youngest
liked it.
spirit.
spirit.
Okay, so guys, thank you so
Guys,
much.
thank you so
Thank you very
much.
much for having us.
Talk soon.
Lovely to meet you.
Nice meeting you too. And
Same
then,
here.
guys,
Bye.
Audience, thank you so much for joining us. Now we're gonna
Yes.
end here, and then we're gonna soon. We're gonna be back with you very soon with the Portuguese version now. The Portuguese talk. So Tony, if and Mix, if you want to be in the Portuguese, session, you can stay behind.
All right.
Okay, bye bye. Stay well. Take
Bye-bye.
care.
Stay well.
Bye.
Ciao. Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye. So you can find this on YouTube. São esses. Now let's go to the Portuguese.